Hey, everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Tressa.
That wasn't delayed at all.
What? No. That was
I
on
like,
purpose.
oh, that's nice. I paused. Oh. Listen, we have no guest tonight. Good night, everyone. Just kidding. So we're going to talk a little bit about the weekend that we just had and probably talk about some interesting cryptids that we haven't managed to fit into an episode yet so far.
But done the research for it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's totally fine. It's totally good. They're very interesting, and we should get to those at some point in time.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. So we just went to the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference, and that is in... It's both in Glenbeulah and in Sheboygan.
Well, it's in Glenbeulah, but if you want to stay somewhere and not in your car, you go to Sheboygan. Basically.
Where we both actually had wildly strange room upgrades for no apparent reason.
I want to hear about yours, because I just heard about 2 TVs and that's it.
Yeah, well, there were some laps run in mine. So I had, I just booked on the website or whatever, and it was a, single king, just normal room, right?
Yeah. Well, because as everybody knows, we cannot stay in the same room because we hate each other very much. This is all a ruse.
It is just a fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every second.
It's not good. Sometimes she locks herself in the bathroom and cries. Sometimes I do.
I mean, yeah.
Sometimes we both do at the same time.
It's weird.
It's counterproductive.
It really is. We should be separated.
We should absolutely be separated.
Yeah.
Thank God we're in our own homes now.
Oh my God.
I mean, in the Monsters Lounge, separated by a room.
Bubbles. By bubbles.
By bubbles. All right, listen. So about my room upgrade. So I had a king room, and
requested some wine.
what
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Just anything goes this episode.
Listen, we got no guests. I got no one to impress. Let's go. Let's do this.
Aren't you still supposed to? I thought we were still in our honeymoon phase, and you're supposed to be impressing me.
I mean, I am by doing that. What are you talking about?
That's fair. Boy, she's got moxie.
And spunk.
Ew. So my hotel room, the front desk called me, and what I think happened is they gave away one of the accessible rooms and then had someone who needed it come in because, boy, I got bumped up to the 3rd floor, and I had a suite. Yeah.
Tell me about this suite.
I had a little kitchenette, including a full-size fridge, which seemed odd.
Full size?
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of... on the outside. I had a little living room area, and then in the bed, and that had one TV, and then you walked into the bedroom, and it was like the size of my living room at my home, with a secondary TV.
I should have probably checked that out. That sounds bananas.
You really should have. You declined the invitation.
No, thank you. More time with you? No. I got upgraded because I made my reservations for the wrong date, and they had no rooms, but they're like, hey, we have these rooms on hold and we don't know why, so why don't you take the master suite that is directly above the front desk and overlooks the lobby. That sounds amazing. Oh, there's a jacuzzi tub right next to the king-size bed. Who doesn't want that? Oh, it's morning time and breakfast is being served. Can I hear every child screaming, please? That's fantastic. Thank you.
It was a real delight. It was a real treat. Well, my room was. Yours sucked. Anyway, but the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference is a lot of fun. It's done by Melissa and Craig, and this is the 2nd year, and it is also the 2nd year that we have been there. So you're welcome, Melissa, for us gracing you with our presence twice. Yeah.
Yeah, and also apologies.
A lot of really good speakers, a lot of really interesting people to talk to and hang out with. And
You you're cutting out a little bit. Yes. This
let
is
me
one of
get
my
closer.
favorite maybe. This is one of my favorite cons. This is a super fun con in the middle of nowhere up to me. It takes 30 minutes to get there from the hotel. 20 minutes, whatever, same thing. But it's so wild and it's just all in this old school, this old elementary school. Suggestion. Air conditioning. But otherwise, it is so neat and it's like everyone it's so like such a close community. It's a really fun vibe all around, I think.
It really is. They really hit on something here.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so you can explore the school, which I don't think they had that as an option last year, but
No.
you can explore the haunted school that has a lot of reports of children running around, giggling, laughter, that kind of thing.
Wasn't it
Um,
Aaron last year who said Aaron. Yeah, Aaron from 28 Days Haunted. He said that they let him explore when no one was there before the con started, and he saw
that's
like
right.
figures in the gym just like running around and peeking around doors. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
right. Nice memory. That is pretty cool.
Thank you. It's not always there.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
so the school itself was built in like 1916. Um, a lot of happenings while there were also teachers and staff at the school.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
listen. I don't. Was there some sort of tour? Because I know nothing about this school.
No, I actually looked it up.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Because I did not.
Yeah, it's an interesting little school, and lights turn on after they've been turned off. Shadows have been seen, voices on audio of little girls, and just giggling, just kids doing kids stuff.
I wonder what that's about. I wonder if that's like a time thing, a time slip thing, or if that's like actual, I don't know,
I feel
apparition.
like I feel like it would be because otherwise there would be some sort of like history on
Right.
children perishing in the school or around the school. Like I don't think.
Unless there was some sort of trauma that kept like a piece of people there. But even then, I don't feel like there was any record of there being trauma in that school. Who
Mm-mm.
knows? It's wild. I feel like maybe we all have a little piece of ourselves in our old schools.
Nope, don't like that. No, thank you.
Oh, what? You don't? That's not
No,
traumatizing at all?
no, none of
Okay.
my schools do I want to return to at all. Any
Oh,
piece
that's
of
weird.
me ever. No,
Oh,
thank you.
let's delve into that. Why is that, Jenny?
Because I was an art kid and a little punk rock kid.
Oh,
I
that
got pushed
sounds
around a lot, and it was the '90s, so bullying was still okay.
right. Yeah, you got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps.
Mm-hmm.
Booth
Booth?
straps.
I don't know what booth straps are, but I don't think I want to know.
Uh,
Bootstraps.
I didn't
Mm-hmm.
upload any photos or anything, but boy, was our booth adorable.
It
So
really
cute.
was. Imagine the Monsters Lounge, and that's exactly what our booth looked like.
Yeah, with comfy chairs. You never
Very
get to see our
comfortable.
chairs.
No. All right, but anyway, so the other main attraction there is the Sheboygan Insane Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sorry, every time I say the word Sheboygan, it just makes me giggle. It's just a ridiculous name. Like my apologies to the Sheboygan families or
No,
anyone
yes,
who calls it their
obviously.
sweet, sweet home, but it's still a
Yeah,
silly name.
it is the silliest name, and it's
Hmm.
so fun to say. Sheboygan.
Sheboygan. You just gotta say
Listen,
no.
it sounds a little bit dirty, and it's just a little wacky.
It is, yeah.
Sheboygan.
And then to combine it with Sheboygan Insane Asylum,
Listen, that sounds like a party right there. Are you kidding me?
it's such a party. The asylum itself is really interesting and cool. I mean, it's an asylum, so uh, immediate buy-in, right, on the
Yeah.
creepy factor,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Oh, for sure.
no matter what, you're gonna have some sort of residuals, you know.
Yes, you have insane asylum. Not the best wording anymore. You
Mm-mm.
got super old. You got cobwebs and dust everywhere. You got a giant facility. Y- Come on. there's nothing but fun going on right there. I mean, depending on your idea of fun.
So I went on the ghost hunt last year, and in some of these situations, you're going on like these investigations, and they're great. They're very entertaining. They're very interesting, but they're
Yes.
also very crowded.
Yes.
So you do get a fair amount of history, some of the stuff that you maybe wouldn't know otherwise, because the staff is really good at giving you background, right? And then also, if you know anything about like the social services system throughout the years, you kind of have a little bit better of a frame of reference, right? Like these were not great places, and they were just kind of like warehouses for people most of the time.
It was basically where you threw people away when you didn't want to deal with them.
Yeah. And especially during that time period, the place was built in like 1939, I think the Keystone says.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's
that
not
makes sense.
really, really old.
It's not even 100 years old, but it's still very old and antiquated and feels pretty icky when you're there.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. I mean, first of all, it's it's a place of suffering, right? So you didn't end up there on a good note.
No.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, I just need a vacation and I want to stay in a place that will treat me terribly.
Yeah.
I have a kink. It's fine.
I'm laughing at horrible things.
I'm making jokes about horrible things. It's fine.
That's the thing that happens. But a lot of it is open to explore. So like in the big group investigations, it's neat to see because ghosts are not particularly my thing. I'm not going to go look for them like on my own. If I happen to be in an area, I'll look around. But also, I feel like I have no sensitivity to these things.
You do, but you just don't listen. It's fine. Keep going.
Maybe. Whatever. I don't know. So the big one was interesting. I did get the opportunity to go with a staff member and a couple of other people in a very small group this trip. And it was also incredibly interesting and definitely way better. But I don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm wandering from room to room and I'm like, hey, this one seems like really scary and I don't like it. And I don't like the noise
and
that's coming out of it.
That is you, that is your body, that is your head telling you that there's something not right there. That is you being sensitive, dummy.
All right, whatever. Anyway, but then people have like really specific, like the lovely woman who was taking us around. She's like, "Well, I've had this experience here, and I've had this experience here, and this is what we hear, all kinds of stuff." And I'm like, I don't know. It just seems creepy to me.
Were there ghost sharks though?
Oh my god, I wish. Do you think
that was not me?
Yeah, that was me. That was me. Oh man. I could see ghost sharks. You know how happy I... All right, listen. New career plan.
Yes.
Scuba diving and ghost tours where we go to like wrecks or planes. Or...
that kind of wreck. Not like a rec center.
No, not like we're going to go to a rec center and scuba dive in the pool and look for ghost sharks. Boom.
Listen.
Perfect business.
Support this idea. I think you have a show that is basically going to be handed to you shortly by Discovery Channel.
Clearly.
I give it like 5 minutes. Wait for that text.
All right, I'm waiting. It's not... Okay.
No, let's just shut down the show so you can wait for that text.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, and for the second time, good night, everyone. So yeah, the asylum, very cool, very creepy. There's some really wild parts to it because essentially it's a very sad place, right? It's a place of human suffering, so there's going to be all sorts of attachments to it. It's also a place where people were trying to help people,
right? And also, like, they didn't really know how to. They were bad at it, so they probably were making things worse for a lot of people, not intentionally, but
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So the asylum started out in like different locations, right? And there were a couple of fires, and some people died. And so eventually in 1940, it ended up being in the location where it is now. And it was closed down in 2002, I think.
That
Not,
soon?
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
thought like the 80s maybe.
It started to be, a lot of those places started to be kind of phased out in the 80s. But by
Yeah.
2002, it
Thank
was
you, Reagan.
closed.
Oh, wait, what? I'm not supposed to say things like that.
So when it was first built, it was a care facility for the elderly, the mentally ill, and the developmentally disabled. So you have old people who are probably reasonably sane, and
And
then
just over it.
and just well, definitely by the time they got there, they were over it.
Yep.
You had developmentally disabled, and people who actually suffered from mental illness. So here's a wild thing that I found while I was researching it, because of
Do
course I had to
tell.
research it. So it was used by the U.S. military in 1944 and 1945 and renamed Camp Sheboygan. It housed Italian and German World War II prisoners who were put to work in the fields.
It was a concentration camp? What?
That's a bit of a stretch.
Is it? It sounds
It's a bit
exactly
of a
the
stretch.
same.
Because they were put to work. No, it does not in any way sound exactly the same. Listen.
It sounds exactly the same. The only difference being a large building. Oh, were there? No, it sound. What are you talking about? It sounds like a concentration camp. Are you kidding me?
From everything that I could find, the conditions were not dire. They were not even as bad as like the conditions of like the internment camps. They worked sometimes if they felt like it. Okay, all right. Do you want to hear the rest of it, or do you just want to keep getting closer to your camera? Or are we doing a little bit of both?
I don't see the difference. Listen, hey, listen, you could have this job or you could suffer, but also you are forced to stay in this building. Sounds
You
like
are forced to stay in that building for sure. I'm just saying that the concentration camps had a few different really terrible things going on that were not present.
Listen, just
here.
because some of them did doesn't mean they all did.
Right. I don't know,
but
why
they're
we're
still
even arguing.
concentrating.
I don't know why we're arguing about
Because
this. I have
I'm
no
not in a
idea.
good headspace and I need to take it out on you.
Well, that seems sad.
Listen, it's
For
not
me.
happy.
Right.
Oh, you know what?
We're gonna get to
Let's
that.
talk about these concentration camps right after this break.
Hey, boys and ghouls, Neil here from Graveside Paranormal Ghost Tours. Join us on October 26th in Watseka, Illinois for the seance at the Roth House, known for the story The Watseka Wonder, the first documented possession in America, or was it a spiritual miracle? In the end, you decide. We're going to be having ghost tours throughout the house every hour on the hour, from 1 p.m. to about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have vendors. We're going to have speakers. Miss Diet Renee will also be out there doing the seance at 7:30 at night. And guess what, girls and boys? We are also going to be filming a documentary. So each and every one of you can be part of this unique experience. So go to gravesideparanormal.com to further details about our event, or on Facebook, and go to Eventbrite at The Seance at the Roth House. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and boo.
Now, of course, Tressa does not actually think that these things were concentration camps. Those were horrible, awful places. This was a horrible, awful place too, but to a much, much lesser degree.
So I'm gonna need to I'm gonna need to research the difference between internment camps and concentration.
You really are.
But I don't. It seems like.
But you really are.
But like.
But it's not the same.
Okay.
It's not. They're not good. None of these things are good. All of them are bad and evil.
I will cop to that.
Okay. All right. So we'll do some research.
I don't.
All right. I'll put it into some notes and send it over to you. Maybe
I'll ignore
sort
them
of-
and pretend I read them. Let's do that.
All right.
And then I'll just agree with you because you're smarter than me.
All right. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there. Anyway, so it was used to house prisoners, and they were put to work. Most of the time, they didn't have to work. A lot of them just got real bored just being there and working. Started working in the fields and whatnot.
Sure.
And that eventually sort of dissipated, and they started to use it again for the original intent, right? Which was someplace to house. They housed, poor people, like people who were really, 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 really poverty stricken, personality disorders, addicts and alcoholics, because where else were you going to put those guys? So it wasn't a great, happy place.
Listen, I'm looking at the chat. I'm really sorry, guys. I didn't mean to make it worse and put something on the label that it wasn't. I'm sorry. But however, this doesn't sound like a great fun place to be.
No, it wasn't a great fun place. And I think it's more so a commentary on our our social services, rather than anything else. It was pretty bad, right? You could just kind of put people away. There were deplorable conditions. I don't know a lot about the conditions at Sheboygan itself. I don't think it was as bad as the ones that came before because it was built so late, relatively speaking. But there are a lot of hauntings and things reported. The building itself is so interesting. There's a whole nurses area where they have all the rooms. People come. There's been reports of it. I couldn't really find anything, but there have been reports of nurses who had worked there who had committed suicide.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
Yeah, and there's a room in there where people come and bring things for the nurses. There's nail polish and nail files and coffee.
Yeah.
Things like flowers, things like that, which is, I don't know. I like that. I like that
I
playing.
like that a lot. And I feel like there's a lot of time slips in hospitals in general. And I feel like there was very much the vibe of time slips, specifically in the nurses area where they would stay. When we were there last year and we did the ghost hunt, and Richard Estep was trying to communicate with them, and because he's an EMT. So he has all this medical background and he knows all this medical stuff, and he's trying to communicate, and they were communicating back and yep, okay, got it, sir, thank you, we'll be on our way and do all that stuff, which I'm sure was confusing for them because they're like, what are you talking about, dude? You just made that up. There's no guy that needs that stuff. But we were trying to get some sort of evidence, and it's definitely there. I don't know if that's time slip. I don't know if that's energy that's just still there. I can totally see an observance, a situation of a high stress job just not being able to completely dissipate. Because once you're in the high stress situation, there's a lot going on in everything, and it's gonna stick. It's gonna stick regardless. So anyway, Jenny, tell me about your research. What was that? I apologize.
Yeah, no. So, people have seen, and the woman who was taking us around was really cool because she's, one of the people that I was with kept saying oh, I felt this, or, oh, I kind of saw that. And she's like, oh, that's one of our lurkers. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. And if I were more versed in ghost terminology, then I would perhaps know exactly what that is, outside of it just sounding really bad and very, very creepy.
What, residual energy? It's...
I'm guessing. I don't really know.
I mean, I feel like a lot of that is just residual energy of just high stress, high trauma
Yeah.
just sticking around. Which,
Yeah.
if we're being like honest, like, yeah, stay there. Let that energy stay there while I move on with
Yeah.
my life or my death, whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
Let it stay there. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And it seems like there's been reports of some that are, there's kids reports of like children ghosts that are playful and fun, and then some nice ones and then some bad ones. So it was interesting. And then it was interesting going there and then learning the history about it after the fact, right?
Yes.
We definitely went into a room, and this is the part I think that struck me the most, is we went into a part on like the first level, the ground level, and it was where they did a lot of like the electroshock and the hydrotherapy. And if you do any sort of research on the mental health movement as a whole, I mean, people were trying everything.
Oh,
They
yeah.
threw everything at these conditions in order to try to make something stick, right?
Yeah, they
I
did.
mean, obviously there were some very, very bad examples, but a lot of times people, they didn't know the ill effects, in some of these
No.
places that were not necessarily built to be that kind of missed the mark on that really terrible time period that we had, right? So they were trying the best that they could.
Right, and I think that's a thing that people miss a lot of the times. It was so hard and so dark with mental health that they didn't understand it and they didn't know what to do, that they were trying everything regardless of how barbaric it seems to us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it didn't work, but they were trying.
Yeah.
And even electroshock therapy has evolved to a point right now where it's effective.
Right.
But when it started off, maybe not so much. Maybe it wasn't a great situation for a lot of people involved with it.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that really struck me about that room was that you could look out the windows, and this place actually, the way that it was built, right? You could look out the window and you could see the front door, which struck me as incredibly sad, right? Because you're stuck in here doing this stuff, and
Look where you can't go out of.
right. But the windows were what stuck out to me. In most of the rooms, in most of the areas, you had really large windows, a lot of light coming in, a lot of viewing of the fields outside. I'm not saying that this was a good thing, like, oh, look at the beautiful decor that we have. But if you're going to build a mental hospital, like, give them some windows, man.
Right.
Yeah. Because I know, like, when I'm not doing so hot, like, the view out the window is a godsend.
I don't know that I ever look out the window when I'm not doing so hot. And if I do, I'm like, I don't. Why? But that's there. And
But you also don't really love being outside.
This is true. So, point taken.
Yeah. I do. And since my bummer
But isn't that
time-
kind of a tease? Isn't that like, hey, look what you could be doing, but instead you're stuck in this room, a sucker. It seems.
Well, my troubles usually occur like in the fall, right? Like we're getting into the season. We're like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not great. Listen,
Listen.
the days start to get shorter. Like it's not as warm. Jeni has some real problems during the fall. Just not excited. But anyway, looking out the window and seeing, at least being able to see nature and see light, like that's a good thing.
I like some sunlight. Don't get me wrong. I like a little sunlight during the day. I appreciate, yes. But looking at the field of nothingness in front of me.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh. Like, well, this is why.
Why would it be like a field of nothingness?
Because I've been to Wisconsin. What are you talking about? What else?
Beautiful out the windows. You could see sort of like a mist area. Like it looked like the moors of England. I have not seen the moors of England, so I don't actually know that to be a fact. But It was great. The moon was really bright. There were some trees.
Yep.
The mists.
Uh-huh. I don't... If you say so. Hey,
All right.
listen, I've noticed... Yeah, that's right. I cleared my throat.
Okay.
I've
Now it's
noticed...
serious. Hang on. Let me get my serious listening skills happening.
Please
yes?
do. I've noticed with our pals in the PCOM, the paranormal community, that everyone's having kind of a rough time right now. So, listen, I want to see people in the chat. Are you guys doing okay? Because I don't know that I'm doing 100%. But also, like, it's fine. The weird season change, the sun's going away, the full moon. You guys okay? You guys doing all right? Okay, go ahead, Jeni.
Yeah, we've noticed that a little bit. And sometimes it gets a little rough. But listen, if you ever need a horrible joke or a complete misunderstanding of history and things, we're here.
I'm your gal. What's
We
up?
are here. Just reach on out to us. And Tressa will say something.
I'll be very
and then
inappropriate.
I will laugh.
And everyone will be mad at me, and it's fine. Because that's what we do. Or, I'm sorry. That's what I do. I can't wait to edit this later.
Oh, yeah. It's
Go ahead,
gonna
Jeni.
be something. Well, you know, everybody seems to be doing all right. At least in the
Yeah,
chat,
I get,
but
well, just screw up.
yeah,
then.
it gets weird for me. Like, it gets darker, and I don't like it. I love the sunshine. I love being outside. I don't think that Illinois is the appropriate place for me to reside.
No, you need to be in the tropics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I very much. So, also, I would like to announce my new GoFundMe, which is get Jeni out of here and closer to an ocean. So, if anybody wants to jump on that, any millionaires who are listening to us at this exact moment and would like to fund that for me, I will
Yes.
send you postcards.
I have a few websites you can contact about that.
No, thank you. See, oh,
Good for you, Joe. Cosmic Joe Chronicles. He's got his
yep, there you
his
go.
Monsters Lounge shirt, his cell phone case, and medical cannabis. He's doing great. Good for you, Joe. I don't have any of those things except for the shirt.
You do have the shirt.
Yeah.
You definitely have the shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have booze. That helps you, right?
Oh,
That's not a depressant.
I'm sorry, what?
No, listen, Tressa, you actually, I think, have reactions to locations.
I very much do, and I don't like it. I don't want to do that anymore. Please make it stop.
I feel like learning some sort of boundaries and, you know.
Oh, like grounding myself? I
Yeah.
would never consider doing that, even though I've been taught to do so many times. Listen, I got things to do, people to meet, and parties to go to. I don't have time for doing things that are very reasonable and easy to do. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, see, when I'm outside, like if I'm in the woods or if I'm in someplace, right? Like any place outside, like then I can feel different situations and I can feel sort of, you know, some sort of sensitivity whatsoever. But if I'm inside of a building,
Oh,
no chance.
really?
Yeah, no chance.
So you're like a touch grass type of lady who's like, this, I'm good. I could feel the worms trying to do stuff to my toes. It's weird and not appropriate. But everywhere else, I can't listen. La, 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 la. That's weird.
Yeah. No, I think it's normal. What I do think is weird is apparently what you think worms do.
Inappropriate things to your toes, obviously. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know. What
Okay,
did you
listen,
get?
I know that you leave the house. I've seen you in the outdoors. You can't.
Ugh. What, like to the grocery store? Occasionally, if I have to. Yeah.
Listen, I had to chase you through a cave. I know you do outside.
That's inside, dum-dum. It's inside. What don't you get? That's not outside at all. That's the whole purpose of a cave. What's the confusion here? It's literally underground. It's fine.
Nope. All right. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
So Ye Old Asylum was closed down in 2002. It's neat if you get a chance to go see it, check it out, do a ghost tour there.
Yes, you should definitely do that
You should
because
definitely
it is fascinating.
do it. It is.
Yes.
And also, older buildings are very interesting. We wandered into an area that had just like stunning furniture from like the 40s, and it was very cool.
Oh, I like that.
In other news, I have new furniture being delivered.
Did you pay for it?
I stole it.
Okay. That checks out.
That is inaccurate. I did not steal anything, just in case. Something has gone
For the
missing.
record,
Besides your heart.
that is accurate.
Truth.
Just don't make me stay in the same hotel room as you because...
Nope. Immediate hate.
Yep.
I keep threatening to arm wrestle you.
No, that's the part I like. It's the other stuff where you try and
really?
hug me and tell me everything's
Oh.
nice and fine. Get
It's the
out.
supportive side.
Ugh.
Oh, all
Get
right.
out of
all right.
here. No, thank you.
Listen, Tressa, would you care to hear some things about some Mesoamerican cryptids and taking a direct left from this topic
I
after
would.
commercial break, of course?
Wait, but first, whoops. But first, I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
God! But first, I need to acknowledge the woman who came up to Jeni and I at Sheboygan, who was like, I don't even remember the exact words because I was so traumatized. She was like, you're so great on P60 News. Thank you so much. Sweet toots. Oh!
So smooth.
You son of...
Smooth. It was right, and she said it over her shoulder walking out, and it was...
Oh, hey, Tressa. Jeni? Oh, I'm just reading my book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader. I'm reading the book, too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah. There. I like your shirt. You? I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt, too. Oh, this? That's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com, too. They have really great stuff. A full variety. I know, right? They have everything. Shirts. Tote bags. Clutches. A phone case, I think. It's the best.
All right, so why does it look like you just ran someplace and then ran back?
No, it's fine. I'm fine. It's good. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's hear about cryptids for 20 minutes. Let's go.
Perfect. All right, so our first one is the Nawal,
Uh-huh.
which, as you might know, I'm kind of a fan of the shape-shifting cryptids and the shape-shifting folklore.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
Huh.
Because it seems so insane, and it also has such a long history in indigenous culture. And in so many different indigenous cultures seem to have something that relates to like this shape-shifting form. And I'm sure anthropologists have looked into it and have some sort of reasoning as to why they all have it. I prefer to think of it as, yes, this was a thing that happened. And
Absolutely.
it's magic, and it happens now.
That's way more fun and mysterious and plausible in my eyes.
Absolutely. So this thing was a shapeshifter, as I said. And it was a kind of witch or supernatural being that changed into animal form, which Oh man,
Yeah, how about that shape-shifting ghost shark, Jenny?
just keeps going with the ghost shark, and it's so
It makes your heart yearn a little bit.
it does it
I know,
does.
I know, I know.
We're and that's probably why, because whenever I start to get a little bit bummed out, I think about all the delightful things that I love to do. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I am a big fan of the ocean, and I
Oh,
love to scuba dive.
is that true?
It's true. And I also kind of sort of like sharks.
Oh, is that true?
Right. So, that's kind of where we ended up with these cryptids, because I am really planning my way down to moving to the Caribbean someplace. Just saying. And you're coming with me.
Do
Newsflash.
I have a choice?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
I'm going to tuck you into a baby Bjorn.
I'm
And
sorry.
take you
A
with me.
what? Oh, a
Baby
baby
Bjorn?
Bjorn. I thought you said something filthy. So it's
No.
fine.
I don't
No,
know what that is, and
no, just
I'm
keep
also
going.
not going to guess. I'm
Yeah,
not going
don't.
to
Just
listen
keep
to
going.
it.
Just keep going.
So most of the time, a lot of the shapeshifters, especially the ones that were witches, they kind of took a dark turn, unsurprisingly.
Why is that? Is it because men are terrible?
I don't know why you think that all of these people were men.
Well, you said witches instead of witches and warlocks or wizards or whatever. So I just mean, in my head, witches are women. So
They could
that's
be either male or female.
okay, but like in my 10-year-old brain, all witches are female. And also, my brain is 10 years old. I am not at all close to that. However, continue.
It's good. I don't know how that could possibly distract me from anything that I was saying. Ever.
You're welcome.
So a lot of times these guys change shape into a jaguar, which is just the coolest thing. If I could do this, I totally would. But you usually had to create like do some sort of heinous act, right? Against like your family or innocence, something along those lines, in order to like touch on to this magic, right?
That's not cool.
Yeah.
Why would you?
No, that's kind of one theory of it. And then
Okay.
and then it gets into, because each culture is and I'm not going to be able to do it any kind of justice whatsoever, because it's such a rich and deep history. Any of these folklore legends are.
No, yes, of course. We all understand that you are a white woman, Jenny. It's fine. Just keep educating us.
I really should just have a shirt with that on there. Like, listen, I'm very interested, but also I'm a white woman. I might not understand. Anywho, but some cultures
That's
actually...
gonna be my new text tone for you. Anywho.
If I could say like 5 more white things, that would be great.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah. So some regions believed that everybody had this sort of animal that they were born with. I don't want to say spirit animal, but it was very yeah, nobody does. It was very similar to that. And they're just very, very interesting. The whole thing. I kind of lost myself in my notes a little bit here.
Oh, that's fine. Do you need me to like do some improv while you look?
Make some noises and then do a little bit of a dance.
Hey everybody, did you know that Jenny in the 3rd grade did the craziest thing at lunchtime once? Once she was like, hey, look at me, I'm a panther. And everyone's like, you are clearly a 10-year-old girl at lunchtime. And she's like, no, I'm a panther. And she's like, this is my spirit animal. And then all the other kids were like, that's not cool, inappropriate, and also, no thank you. And she's like, oh, please teach me, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I just heard it once on the internet, even though the internet was not around at the time. Go ahead, Jenny. Have you caught up yet?
Oh, yeah. I was just waiting to see where this was going to go.
Listen, you don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's just going to keep going.
So they had these like animal counterpoints, their counterparts, right? And everybody was kind of born with one. And so if you were born with one that was a jaguar, that's what you would kind of turn into. If you were born with one that was like an owl, that's where you would go, right? And they weren't always like malevolent, and they weren't always good. They were kind of somewhere in between. Some could be bad, some could be good. And there's still reports of these things, like to this day, that these things happen. Yeah, and
What's the most recent? Tell me.
I have a great story. It's from Reddit. Which
my favorite.
Oh my gosh, so good. So this one I am going to read because in no way can I summarize the amazingness of this story. Right?
Tell me.
Okay. So it's my grandpa's Nahual experience. To give some background as to how this story came up, my family and I were talking about supernatural occurrences and strange creatures that they've encountered. We are a Christian family, but we take this story to be truth. This is a secondhand experience that my grandfather shared with my mom many years ago. This happened when he was an 8-year-old kid in Mexico, roughly 60 years ago. Yeah, so not so recent.
Yeah, not very recent at all.
My grandpa grew up in the hillsides in the state of Mexico in the 60s. It was very rural during that time, and he lived on a large property with few neighbors. His family didn't have much money, so he would tend to his neighbor's cattle who owned the property further up the hillside to earn a few pesos. His neighbor would usually accompany him, rounding up the cattle nearing sunset to bring back to the barn. One day, though, my grandpa said his neighbor got sick and stayed inside instead of accompanying him. This wasn't too out of the ordinary, as he had been doing this for a while and was trusted. Nearing sunset, he started herding the cattle and walking them back to the stables. When he did a count, he noticed that a cow was missing. Going back to look for it, he headed down the hill when he says he heard rustling and snapping in the dry cornfields. Thinking the cow had somehow gotten lost in the field, he called out to it. Emerging from the cornfields was what he described as a large black dog, and says he was overcome with an overwhelming sense of dread. He immediately turned to run up the hill and started screaming at the top of his lungs. He said he had turned around to look behind him, and the dog had transformed into a bipedal creature and was chasing after him. His neighbor heard him screaming and immediately opened up the door to let him in. I'm not too sure what happened after that, except that he told his neighbor and his family what had happened, and his parents no longer let him go back up there to tend the cattle. A detail that stood out, according to my mom's retelling, was how vividly he saw the dog shapeshift into a bipedal and run after him.
Wait, does it describe the bipedal at all, or is it just like bipedal?
Yeah,
or is it like
it's just
dog?
Bipedal? I think the intent was that it looked like a giant black dog and then just sort of stood up.
Ugh. No thanks.
After she finished telling the story, she told me that she couldn't remember the name for these folkloric creatures. The shape-shifting details stood out to me, so I showed her a picture of a dogman and a skinwalker, and she pointed out the details described by my grandpa were closer to a skinwalker. My dad then remembered the name, and they said they call them Nahuals in Mexico. Looking them up, I saw a striking crossover between native and Mexican folklore between these creatures. They are shape-shifting shamans that transform into animals, most often large dogs. Additionally, what was striking is that they don't see these creatures as something mythical or outlandish, but take them to be truth and are supposedly well known about in their area. Other strange things have happened in his property, but I don't know all of the details. So,
one of my favorite stories, I think it was John Keel, who mentioned maybe it was a skinwalker. I don't know if it was, I don't know what it was. But it was just a guy just hanging out, smoking a cigarette in a flannel, but full-on dog head, just like hanging out. Like, sup? That's what that reminds me of.
interesting.
I could be totally wrong about all the details because my memory is garbage. but still stands.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of the shape-shifting, right? Like, I hadn't seen a lot of the large dog sort of thing. They really seem to focus, or maybe my interest actually focused more on the jaguar aspect of it,
Sure.
because it reminds me of some of the theories behind the click-attack ape cat.
Cat, yep.
Yeah, which
hard to
was... It really is. That
you guys,
click-a-tat really gets me.
Yeah.
But when we were talking to James and on that episode, he then, when we went out to go visit the Columbia River Gorge and he was taking us around and giving us a tour, he found like the petroglyphs. Like, he was showing the petroglyphs of the folklore, the indigenous people of the region had a shape-shifting being that transformed into a cat. So that immediately brought up some bells for me. But people do still kind of see them. There was a report on August 11th, 2020.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is actually a reference to it, recent reference. Dozens of residents of a town located about 60 miles inland from the port of Veracruz went on the hunt for a nahual Monday night. Men, women, and children armed with rocks, shovels, and guns, by the way.
Rocks and shovels. Adorable. They're doing their best.
Yeah, they left their houses to kill or drive away the mythical creature that, according to legend, is half human, half animal, drinks human blood, which, all right, and causes all manner of ills, including disease. The search for the shapeshifter was broadcast on Facebook Live as frightened residents congregated around a palm tree where someone said the creature was hiding. Dogs barked frantically as people pointed flashlights into the fronds. When one person said he saw the animal, identifying it as a gray mass, another began firing a pistol into the area. Perfect. In which the imaginary creature was said to be hiding.
Listen, if we can't wildly fire our pistols into whatever we don't know what is going on, what are we doing?
I don't know. I guess. I have no idea.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so began firing a pistol into the area and said something along the lines of, "Be careful, he can do something to you. You don't know what might happen." At one point, the man filming the 28-minute-long video, which has recorded more than 35,000 views, exclaimed that the nahual had flown away. Meanwhile, the gunshots drew the attention of police, who asked people not to fire guns into the air and to return to their homes and respect coronavirus protocols.
That seems like, just because of corona. Just because, listen, you guys don't want to get sick, so stop firing your guns willy-nilly. Can we just, go back to our houses? It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's other reports, right?
Hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Crystal Grout has a question. Nahual or a nagual? Is that what you're talking about, Matt? Listen, she's talking about Matt, but it was like a Lord of the Rings reference. Are we talking about a specific thing or a specific thing that I don't know what they're talking about because I'm not familiar with any of them?
I don't. Okay.
Which one?
The question seems very reasonable coming from Crystal.
Yes.
I don't know how you complicated that question so very deeply.
You're welcome.
They're different spellings of the same thing.
How do you spell it?
It's spelled Nagual.
That's all I want to know. Okay, continue.
Yeah, but I have seen, but the other spellings exist as well. So there's also a spelling of Nawal too. So,
are you talking about a narwhal? The whale guys?
They transform into something that has a big tooth out of the top of their head.
Yeah. Those guys.
Yeah,
is that
Columbus
what
loved
them. Have we just been talking about narwhals the whole time?
Oh crap!
Oh Jesus, Jeni.
No, we have not been. I'm not talking about narwhals. Although they are.
We should talk about narwhals sometime.
We really should. Just because they're great. Just how I want to be friends with them, hang out with them.
Unicorn whale, get out of here.
Come on. Are you kidding me?
Come on.
How great. Yeah, and in 2021, there were also reports from an area of Mexico where an entire community was kept awake for several nights by howling. That they, yeah, by such a howling that they believe it to not be a natural animal.
Listen, sympathize, empathize, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's all you got, it's just some jerk down the street. Come on.
Well, listen, they offered photos of claw marks on the ground as proof. So, I don't know where you think those are coming from.
Oh, okay. You sold me. Listen, I was joking before and I was all in. However, the claw marks on the floor being the proof, I'm out.
Photos
Oh!
of claw marks. So,
Photos of, like, lines on the floor? Got it.
I think so. I mean, it hasn't been submitted to me for examination, but...
So you're a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Mm-hmm. So, that is our cryptid. That is our cryptid that we're talking about.
Jeni, I appreciate all the work that you do and have done on that cryptid, and also appreciate you taking on all the BS that I have thrown on you about it. Thanks.
Yeah, hey, you're welcome.
I'm also not in a great space mentally, so if I'm super jerk today, I didn't mean to be. I'm sorry to you and our audience. So, hope you all have a great time. Jeni.
Listen. Tonight's show was a little bit calmer than it usually is. We got into some history.
Oh, is it?
We have some random stuff, and that's just how it is, because sometimes that's just how it is. You know, people go through dark times. I'm helping. Sometimes, you know, like things aren't so great, right? In our brains or in our lives or things, and we try our best and show up, and that's sometimes all that you can do. And we try to joke about it a little bit because humor helps.
Or at least, you know.
Well, it makes my world a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And also, it's all I know. That's how I deflect and make things not bad in my head. So sometimes my humor is very jerky. And I don't mean that to be that way, but love you guys.
Listen, reach out to us if you're,
Jeni,
if you want to talk. Then no, I'm overriding you. I don't know if I can hear you actually scream in my ear about.
Jeni, shut up! I am so glad that you could join us tonight. Everybody else,
there it is.
Don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters.
So much bigger than mine right now.
Goodbye.